Alright, now the next signal is digital input signal clockwise limit, reverse inhibit limit. Alright, so this function is used to limit the motion of servo motor in one direction, reverse direction. Okay, so what you have to do is you have to add a limit switch. So when this limit switch is pressed, this will avoid running the servo in reverse direction. Okay, this is the function. It also says this input is used to limit the clockwise position of the servo. When this contact is closed, drive will stop and ALE14 error will occur. So you will see an error on the screen, on the driver screen, okay, when this limit switch is pressed. So how to do that? In this case, we have to again assign a function to pin number 15, or it can be any pin, by putting the code 22 if you are 22, if your contact is NC, or 122 if your contact is NO. Okay, so similarly we also have another function, digital input counterclockwise limit. Okay, this is to avoid servo running in another direction. For that there is another pin number 14. Okay, so this is similar. This is one direction, this is another direction. So in the next is we have clubbed these together, clockwise and counterclockwise limit. So I'm going to perform experiment on this slide in which we are using these together. So the first step is you have to put the parameter, you have to select the pin. So I'm going to select pin number 14 and 15 and I'll add these limit switch on that. Then we have to add the parameters. So let me just add the parameters here, which is 2:14 and 2:15 should be 122 and 123. I'm using the NO contact. So 2:14 is this one, 15 is this one. So here I'm going to use 122 and the next one is 123. So I'm using the NO contact of these two. Okay, NO contact. Now I'll have to connect this limit switch to the pin number 15 and 14. So give me a moment. I'll just pause this video and after connecting the wires I'll get back to you. Alright, now have a look. I have just wired this circuit. So what I've done is, this is the two contact terminals here. So I've connected these below terminals to pin number 13 and the above one is going to 14 and 15. To see that in the diagram, what I've done is, I'll just show you here just to make it clear. This one, clockwise and counterclockwise. So one end of the limit switch is connected to pin number 13. This is the one end connected to here. Another end is going to 14 and 15. In this case I have shown you the NC contact, but physically in the circuit I have used the NO contact. The only difference is if you use NC here, then you have to put in the parameter 22 and 23. Because I have put 122 and 123, I've already entered that, so I'm using the NO contact instead of NC. Okay, so that's actually the symbol of NC, but I'm using an NO. So this is a very simple wiring in this case. So you see here servo is running in both direction. This is running in position mode. This is programmed by PLC. So to limit its position in one or the other direction, I have to press the limit switch. So suppose if I press this one, this is for this direction. If you see this is running, if I press this limit switch here, it will stop. And if I release, it will resume. In this direction, this limit switch will work. You can see that. Okay, in this direction, this will work. So these two limit switch can be installed at two extreme limits of your conveyor or your robotic arm or linear actuation, just in case if your drive, if your bed or your slides reaches these extreme limits, servo should stop. So these are the emergency stop kind of switches. You can say that these limit switches to limit the position of your slide, of your drive, to reach these two extreme positions, which can be any. You can set this position by changing the location of your limit switch. Okay, so and one more thing, if I press this limit switch, there is an error which comes on the top of drive. So let me show you that. So currently if you see, there is no error here. This drive is not having any error. If I press the limit switch manually, you see there is an error F. This is a forward limit. Okay, and if I press the another contact, this is E. This is a reverse inhibit limit. Okay, when I release, the error goes. So when I press this limit switch from here, when I press it here, you have the error coming here and the motor stops. This is for reverse, motor stops. So in both cases we have the error coming here. Okay, so you can also see the error if your limit switch is pressed and you're surprised that motor is not running. You must check whether the limit switch is pressed or not to find out the error, and you can also see this error details in your manual. Okay, in your servo manual you'll find the details of this error, which usually come. I have a servo manual here. This is the application manual, in which you'll find all the details of the error, which is generally at the end in troubleshooting. These are the errors. So you can see that F is forward limit switch error and E is reverse limit switch error. Reverse limit switch is activated, forward is activated. So this is about how you can find the error if occurs, and you can troubleshoot that, and you can actually install this limit switch to limit its position into extreme deviations. Okay, so in the next video we'll see the emergency switch application. All right, thank you.